Allow me to briefly introduce our honorable speaker. Our speaker today is Dr. Cecile Grenier, a rice breeder and geneticist from CIRAD, France. And Dr. Cecile has extensive experience in rice breeding and genetic improvement, and it's truly an honor to have her with us today to share her knowledge and experiences. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Cecile Grenier. To Dr. Cecile, time is yours.
I'm going to share my screen and my presentation up. Let me check, but I'm not starting with the end. Up. Okay, so I don't know if you have if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to start. So my title will be Rice Genetic and Genomics. And so you see in this slide many logos of institutions. So I'm going to take a little time to just introduce you a little bit CIRAD, because I don't know if the students know what is CIRAD. So I'm going to start, oops, why I can't, oh, okay. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about CIRAD. So, and specifically the rice research at CIRAD. So CIRAD is a French public research organization with an international vocation. So CIRAD work towards the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, specifically the number 1 and number 2 about poverty and hunger, and also other partnership with the partnership with the different countries or scientific cooperation towards a partnership for reduction of responsible agriculture production and consumption. Sorry. So CIRAD also contribute to the other SDGs such as good health and well-being and climate action and life on land. So CIRAD works principally for the tropical areas. So you see colored in green. And we currently work with more than 50 countries across the tropics and the Mediterranean. And we have 2 main offices, one in Paris and one in Montpellier, where I presently work. And we have also offices in the French overseas regions. And then 10 other offices elsewhere in the world, in Southeast Asia, in West and Central Africa, in Austral Africa, and in Latin America. Briefly, CIRAD is divided in 3 departments, one in biological system, the one which I work in, and there's different research units working on the living world, the characterization and exploitation of the biological system, one on performance of tropical production and processes system, which is the agronomy, but also all what is post-harvest processing. And there's 10 research in it. And then finally, a 3rd department working on environments and society, working more with the relation between agriculture, natural resources management, and social dynamic, more towards the politics. So we have these 3 departments, and these 3 departments have some common project to make very integrative research project. So CIRAD has a scientific and technical expertise on different tropical agricultural value chains. So we have 15 value chains we worked on, from banana, cacao, coffee, etc., until roots and tubers, and sorghum, rice, different kind of production system. We also include animal production. And within this different value chain, we develop what we call a roadmap. And here I'm presenting the roadmap for sustainable rice growing. So basically, the roadmap is an engagement for CIRAD for the 10 years to have a program dedicated to answering the issue faced by rice grower and rice consumer. So we have a dedicated energy to build with the 3 departments and create an inventive rice sector for the future. So we have figures, we are engaged on promoting development and action towards a sustainable rice growing system for the next 10 years. In this roadmap for rice, the objective is to help to alleviate poverty and vulnerability to risk among all the rice growers in tropics and Mediterranean areas, and with the goal to improve production both in quantity and quality, while managing natural resources and reducing environmental impact. For that, we have defined 4 ambitions: to make rice system more sustainable with agroecological transition, to contribute to sustainable management of rice system by managing water, to improve and promote rice quality, and to help to adapt rice growing to global changes, notably climate change. And so that was the overall view of CIRAD and then the rice value chain. Now I'm going to present the unit in which I'm working. I'm working on the AGAP unit. The AGAP Institute works on genetic improvement and adaptation of Mediterranean and tropical plants. So here we broaden again, we are much broader than just rice, and we are also much broader than just CIRAD. In this AGAP Institute, we have researchers from different institutions, CIRAD, but also INRAE, which is the National Research Institute on Agronomy and Environment. We have the Institut Agro, which is the School of Engineer, and we also have the University of Montpellier. So all these 4 institutions have researcher and students being part of the AGAP Institute. And within the AGAP Institute, we have different teams. So it's fairly hierarchical in CIRAD, but so that makes us to be more globally, to have expertise in various institutions to work toward the same goal. And my team within the AGAP Institute is GIV. It stands for Genetics and Varietal Innovation. So basically, plant breeding and genetics. And in this team, we have different partnerships within CIRAD and other institutions to work in plant breeding, but as a point of convergence between disciplines and skills present within AGAP, but beyond. So basically, in our team, we work on genetic diversity, characterization and exploitation, multi-site evaluation to study the interaction between genotype and environment. We also work on ideotype definition, meaning which kind of rice we need for which kind of environment and which kind of use. We also work with other partners, like other colleagues from CIRAD, on post-harvest quality and the parameters. We also work with other partners closely on pest and disease management, on adapted agronomical practices, on seed system optimization, on decentralized participatory breeding, on participative evaluation, and optimization of breeding skills. So basically, the breeders in our team are working with a very holistic manner to englobe the environment, the consumer, the biotic stresses, the abiotic stresses, the management. And for all of those aspects, we tend to optimize the breeding scheme to make more efficient development of new cultivars. In our team, in the genetic and innovation, variety innovation team, we work on various crops. We work on millet, sorghum, rice, root and tuber, and cotton. And we have different objectives. Those objectives are to exploit the germplasm and biotechnology for better use of crop genetic diversity in varietal creation. So that way we study the genetic diversity, the determinism of trait of interest. We also apply genome editing to validate the genetic control of traits and new breeding techniques such as a CRISPR-Cas9 to abolish, target, or increase the recombination. We also work toward optimizing breeding scheme to increase the genetic gain achieved by the breeding programs and or to deliver to farmers. So we want to make sure that what the farmers are cultivating is much better than what they had before. So we estimate the genetic value, we develop and integrate new tools and methods for selection, such as marker-assisted selection, new breeding technology, genomic selection. And those tools are also integrated in the simulations tools in order to really optimize the scheme, the breeder scheme, to have the better yield and the better grain quality at the end of the breeding process. So to really optimize the genetic gain. A third objective is to contribute to the development and the dissemination of varieties that will offer stable and economically viable production. And this part is done in partnership with breeding programs at national, private, or international organizations. So we don't do the breeding with partners, we help the partners to do the breeding. So we really work closely with the partners in the countries to optimize the breeding scheme and make it more productive or more with better results. So the results of this contribution is to have varieties adapted to their current and future biophysical environment and new agricultural practices that meet the expectation of the user, which are the producers and both the consumers and producers. So basically, taking into account the changes that the climate will foresee in the cultural practices, but also to adopt practices to be more friendly with the environment.